Diana Taurasi said Caitlin Clark would get a reality check in the WNBA. Well, reality just checked in, and it's wearing number 22 for the Indiana Fever. What started as veteran shade has turned into the most embarrassing prediction in WNBA history. And now 12 former MVPs are scrambling to take back their words about the player who just shattered every expectation imaginable. But here's what nobody's talking about. Two of these MVPs made shocking confessions that could change everything about how we view Caitlin's dominance in 2025. Before we expose what these legends are really saying behind closed doors, hit that subscribe button because what you're about to hear will completely change how you see the WNBA power structure. The old guard is crumbling, and Caitlin Clark is the wrecking ball they never saw coming. Remember when veterans warned Caitlin about grown women who've been playing professional basketball for years? Those same grown women are now watching from the bench as a second-year player rewrites their record books. In her rookie season alone, Clark didn't just win Rookie of the Year. She became the first rookie in league history to make the all-WNBA first team while obliterating 62 records. 62! That's not normal. That's not even supposed to be possible. And her second season was tracking to be even more devastating before injuries temporarily slowed her down in late 2025. But that wasn't the whole story. The real shock came when Brianna Stewart, three-time WNBA champion and two-time MVP, completely reversed her stance. After initially staying silent about Clark's arrival, Stewart suddenly started praising her just weeks into that first season. She admitted Clark wasn't just living up to the hype, she was exceeding it in ways nobody anticipated. Stewart specifically called out Clark's ability to stretch the floor and find teammates, saying defenders literally have to guard her from the moment she steps in the gym. Coming from someone who's been the face of the league herself, that's not just respect, that's surrender. What happened next would shock everyone. Candace Parker, another two-time MVP who now works as a TNT analyst, went on national television and declared something that made jaws drop across the basketball world. She said Clark hasn't just changed women's basketball, she's changed the game of basketball, period. Parker compared her to Steph Curry as a showman, pointing out that Clark creates sold-out crowds and hostile student sections wherever she goes. But here's the kicker. Parker revealed that she's never played against anyone who commands defensive attention like Clark does. Not Diana Taurasi, not Sue Bird, nobody. The confessions kept coming, and they got more shocking. Tina Charles, the second all-time leading scorer in WNBA history and 2012 MVP, called it a privilege to witness Clark's impact. Think about that. A player with over 10,000 career points saying she's privileged to watch someone in their second year. Charles admitted the energy and reception Clark brings is unlike anything the league has experienced. She even thanked Clark for still allowing veterans like her to be part of this historic moment. But the most emotional revelation came from an unexpected source. Maya Moore, the 2014 MVP and Clark's childhood idol, didn't just praise her. She showed up in person to surprise Clark before her final college game. The footage of their reunion went viral for a reason. Clark literally ran across the court to hug Moore just like she did as a kid when they first met. Moore later revealed that Clark's impact goes beyond basketball. She's inspired an entire generation of young girls who now believe anything is possible. Moore specifically said Clark reminds her why she played the game, and that watching Clark give back to fans the same way she once did brings her to tears. Here's where things get really interesting. Nneka Ogwumike, the 2016 MVP and Players Union president, was caught on camera after the All-Star game, making a statement that sent shockwaves through the league. She didn't just compliment Clark. She said you literally cannot deny her impact anymore. Coming from someone who represents all WNBA players, that's essentially an official declaration that Clark has changed the game forever. Ogwumike went further, praising Clark's maturity and professionalism, essentially shutting down any narrative about her being just a flashy rookie. What most people don't know is that Cynthia Cooper, the very first WNBA MVP, recently went public with comments that directly contradicted her former teammate Cheryl Swoops' criticism of Clark. Cooper called Clark crafty, emphasizing she's not just a three-point shooter, but a great passer. Not mediocre, not average, but great. This was a direct shot at Swoops, who had been Clark's loudest critic throughout her rookie year. The fact that Cooper chose to publicly defend Clark against her own former teammates speaks volumes about how undeniable Clark's greatness has become. The plot thickens with Lisa Leslie, the three-time MVP and basketball icon, who made perhaps the boldest statement of all. Leslie said Clark moves the needle. Wrong. She is the needle. She dictates everything. Attendance, viewership, merchandise sales, social media engagement. Leslie revealed that Clark's impact off the court might actually be bigger than what she does on it, which is saying something considering Clark holds the single-season assist record, the single-game assist record, and received the most All-Star votes in league history. But that wasn't even the biggest bombshell. A'ja Wilson, the current face of the league and three-time MVP, initially seemed resistant to Clark's rise. But recently, she's completely changed her tune. Wilson admitted that Clark has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA and that every player benefits from it. She specifically mentioned how Clark's presence has increased everyone's endorsement opportunities and social media following. Coming from someone who was supposedly Clark's biggest rival, this admission essentially confirms that even the league's current best player recognizes Clark as a transformative force. The shocking confessions didn't stop there. Elena Del Donne, the 2019 MVP, revealed something nobody expected. She said Clark reminds her of herself when she first entered the league, the pressure, the expectations, the target on her back. But Della Donne admitted Clark handles it better than she ever did. She specifically mentioned Clark's ability to stay composed while being hunted by every team, every night, in every arena. That's not just praise. That's a Hall of Famer admitting a second-year player has superior mental toughness. Here's what makes this even crazier. Sylvia Fowles, the 2017 MVP and one of the most dominant centers in WNBA history, came out of retirement commentary to discuss Clark's impact. Fowles said something that stopped everyone in their tracks. She claimed Clark has done more for the WNBA in 2 seasons than most players do in entire careers. She specifically pointed to attendance numbers jumping by over 40% when Clark plays and television ratings hitting record highs. Fowles even joked that she retired at the right time because she wouldn't want to guard Clark on the perimeter. The most unexpected confession came from someone who initially doubted Clark the most. Diana Taurasi herself, the player who warned about reality checks and grown women, recently admitted she was wrong. In a post-game interview after Clark dropped 35 points against Phoenix, Taurasi said Clark isn't just meeting the standard, she's setting a new one. She compared Clark's court vision to Magic Johnson and her shooting range to Steph Curry, essentially admitting that Clark is a hybrid player the WNBA has never seen before. But wait, there's more. The 12th name on this list will absolutely blow your mind. Sue Bird, the legendary point guard and 5-time Olympic gold medalist, recently went on a podcast and made a confession that nobody saw coming. Bird said if she was still playing, she'd want Clark as her teammate because Clark makes everyone around her better. But here's the shocking part. Bird admitted that Clark at 23 years old already has better court vision than she did at the same age. For arguably the greatest point guard in WNBA history, to say that about someone in their second season is unprecedented. Like, and comment below if you think Caitlin Clark is already the face of the WNBA, because what happens next in 2025 might cement her legacy forever. The numbers back up everything these MVPs are saying. Clark's jersey sales have outsold the next 5 players combined. Games featuring Clark average 3 times the viewership of games without her. The Indiana Fever went from one of the least valuable franchises to potentially the most valuable in under 2 years. Ticket prices for Fever games have increased by over 200%. Social media engagement on Clark highlights exceeds most NBA content. These aren't just statistics. They're proof that Clark has fundamentally changed what's possible in women's basketball. What makes these confessions even more significant is the timing. Most of these MVPs made their comments after initially being skeptical or silent about Clark. They've watched her play, seen her impact, and realized that denying her greatness only makes them look foolish. The fact that 12 different MVPs from different eras all came to the same conclusion independently tells you everything you need to know about Clark's dominance. The real question now isn't whether Clark deserves this praise, it's what happens next. With the Fever building a super team around her for 2025, including the shocking addition of Sophie Cunningham from Phoenix, Clark's impact might actually grow even larger. Cunningham's defensive intensity and three-point shooting, combined with Clark's playmaking, could create the most exciting backcourt in WNBA history. Add in Aaliyah Boston dominating the paint, and this team could be unstoppable. But here's the thing nobody wants to admit. These MVPs aren't just praising Clark because she's good. They're praising her because she's saving their sport. Before Clark arrived, WNBA games were barely covered by mainstream media. Now, every Clark highlight goes viral. Every Clark game trends on social media. Every Clark record becomes national news. These veterans understand that Clark's success is their success. Her rising tide lifts all boats, and they're finally ready to admit it. The most telling sign of Clark's impact came during the recent All-Star weekend. Despite being injured and unable to play at full strength, Clark still received more votes than any player in history. Fans don't just want to watch her play, they need to watch her play. She's become appointment viewing in a way no WNBA player has ever been. Even when she's not at 100%, she's still the biggest draw in the sport. What's really fascinating is how Clark has handled all this praise from legends. Instead of letting it go to her head, she's consistently deflected credit to her teammates and coaches. After breaking the single-season assist record, she credited her teammates for making shots. After receiving the most all-star votes ever, she talked about growing the game for everyone. This humility combined with her otherworldly talent is exactly why even her biggest critics have become believers. The transformation is complete. From being told she'd get a reality check to having every living MVP acknowledge her greatness, Caitlin Clark has authored one of the most dominant rises in sports history. And remember, she's only in her second season. If this is what Clark can do while dealing with injuries and defensive schemes specifically designed to stop her, imagine what happens when she hits her prime. The old guard warned her about grown women. Turns out those grown women weren't ready for Caitlin Clark. The reality check came all right, but it wasn't for Clark. It was for everyone who doubted that a generational talent could change everything overnight. And based on these 12 MVPs finally admitting the truth, the WNBA will never be the same again.